A face-off with tiny Maldives in the neighborhood. I went through my timeline and haven't seen a single esteemed government minister who has stood by Bilkis Bano through her fight for justice for over 2 decades now.
The views expressed in this blog are hosted on my own website, are strictly personal and do not reflect the views of any organization.
Hello and welcome friends once again to Straight Bat, my weekly video blog where, as the title suggests, I comment with a straight bat. Now this week there are two big stories with two very different responses. A face-off with tiny Maldives in the neighborhood following offensive remarks made by ministers in their government against India and our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. The second story, the Bilkis Bano case, where 22 years after a woman was gang raped and more than a dozen members of her family, including her little child, were killed before her eyes, the Supreme Court finally intervened and ordered that her killers be sent back to jail. Now, the Maldives story has seen outrage across society, with angry calls being made for a tourist boycott of the picturesque islands. In fact, several top Indian celebrities from Akshay Kumar to Sachin Tendulkar have joined the campaign and called for Indians to explore beach destinations in India instead of travelling to the Maldives. Government ministers have joined the chorus, so did the entire BJP IT cell army, and the Maldivian High Commissioner was summoned and read the Riot Act. All very good. No country will and should tolerate the offensive remarks made by the Maldivian ministers. And yes, it would be great if the stars who now want us to discover Indian beaches will actually walk the talk and choose, as I said in a viral tweet this week, Lakshadweep over Maldives for their next film shoot or a private family holiday. But contrast all this noise over the Maldives controversy with the muted reactions to the Bilkis Bano case. No anger or outrage on what the Supreme Court called an act of fraud, while questioning the manner in which the convicted criminals were granted remission by the Gujarat government by allegedly falsifying information. I went through my timeline and haven't seen a single esteemed government minister say a word on the Bilkis case. In fact, no BJP spokesperson in Delhi or Gandhinagar even gave a soundbite or came on a studio debate in response to the court verdict in the Bilkis case. Their silence perhaps is understandable in a way. How can you publicly condemn your own? But there wasn't also a single word from any of the celebrities who were so quick to tweet in unison when it came to the Maldives. And then I reminded myself, it is always so much easier, my friends, to spark off hyper-nationalistic sentiments and wave the national flag. It is just so much more difficult to be seen to stand up in solidarity with a woman from a far-flung village of Gujarat whose only crime in 2002 was that she was an Indian Muslim. But here are a few questions to all of you out there, especially to our tweeting star celebrities. Question number 1. Why is it so difficult for those who will outrage over an insult from ministers in an overseas country to not express solidarity, sympathy, or dare I say a word of comfort at the manner in which a 5-month pregnant woman who was gang raped and 14 members of her family murdered, when she has had to endure such a rocky road to justice? Does that not anger you? Does that not outrage your sentiments? Who or what are you fearful of if you spoke out today for a battered but brave Bilkis Bano? Question number 2. While many of you are calling for an economic boycott of the Maldives, would you ever call for a social boycott of those who garlanded the convicts in the Bilkis case? Or are you so comfortable with those who end up normalizing a gang rape and murder? Question number 3. How many of you are even aware that those who organized a local reception in Godhra for the convicts in the Bilkis Bano case owe allegiance to the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, the very same VHP, the organization which is at the forefront in sending invites to the Ram Mandir inauguration ceremonies and claims it wants to harness our cultural and civilizational pride? What is this great civilizational pride, my friends, that will welcome rapists and murderers? Do you know that the local BJP MLA in Gujarat, who was on the committee which green flagged the remission of sentence to the convicts, wanted these convicts to be absolved of gang rape and murder because he saw them as sanskari Brahmins? Question number 4. How many of you out there would ever ask questions of accountability of the Union Home Ministry that gave the nod of approval to the remission sentence of the convicts in the Bilkis Bano case, while you angrily call for the resignation of the Maldivian ministers who insulted our Prime Minister? Will you ever call for accountability from our own government ministers? Question number 5. How many of you have ever said the nation wants to know why the convicts in the Bilkis case were routinely being granted parole, as indeed are VVIP rape convicts like Gurmeet Ram Rahim? If the nation wants to know why Maldives is speaking ill of India, shouldn't we be first asking questions of our own leaders? Question number 6. How many of you have ever asked why the court hearings in the Bilkis case had to be taken out of Gujarat and be heard in Maharashtra instead? Why the CBI had to step in to ensure that the accused didn't get away? After all, hadn't the local police in Gujarat said they couldn't find the culprits in this gang rape and murder case and had tried to hurriedly close the case? Question number 7. Did any of you, especially all you celebrities out there who joined the Boycott Maldives campaign on social media, ensured that it was trending, ever join a Justice for Bilkis campaign and call for accountability in the case? My 8th question. Okay, let's accept that Bilkis Bano is a 22-year-old case and you've slowly forgotten about what happened in 2002. Well, let me jog your memory to something more recent. How many of you who have expressed your indignation over Maldives have expressed any kind of concern over something happening closer home in the state of Manipur over the past 6 months? More than 200 people have reportedly died in the ethnic violence there since May, and the killings continue. How many of our outraged celebrities have ever called for a return to peace in a troubled state or action against those responsible for rape and murder in Manipur? Or is Manipur simply too far away from your conscience that you will shoot in films in Maldives but don't even know where Manipur geographically lies? Question number 9. How many of those who are calling for the rest of us Indians to discover the joys of Lakshadweep now that the Prime Minister has been there on a beach and has shown us lovely photographs of the islands, are aware that the last time these tiny islands made the headlines, it was because the Lieutenant Governor there, a certain Mr. Praful Patel, not to be confused with the former Union Civil Aviation Minister, but a Gujarat politician who was keen to enforce a no beef policy to be as a rule in midday meals in the school. This, remember, in a state with a 95% Muslim population. Did anyone protest against the LG's food policing plans, which is hardly the ideal way to attract more tourists to Lakshadweep? And one final question. How many of you, especially all you celebrities out there and stars, have heard of a lawyer called Shobha Gupta? Well, if you haven't, let me give you a very brief bio. Shobha Gupta is not a high-profile lawyer who demands and commands astronomical fees. You won't see her in the news headlines or on most primetime shows. But she, my friends, is the woman who has stood by Bilkis Bano through her fight for justice for over 2 decades now. When many others might have given up and simply moved on to the next case, Shobha stuck to the Bilkis matter, ensuring that she and her family never felt alone. If faith in the criminal justice system in the country is waning, but is still occasionally reaffirmed, it is because of courageous women like Shobha. She, for me, is the true star, not the celebrities who tweet and twinkle only when someone in power instructs them to. Remember, friends, and remember this well. Telling truth to power is far, far more difficult than simply living in the comfort of an echo chamber of those in power. Think about it. That was The Straight Bat. Do, of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel for many more such videos. For now, stay well, stay safe. Jai Hind. Namaskar.